Hello, beautiful people of our digital world. My name is Brian Steele, and I have the privilege of being the pastor at St. Paul United Methodist Church in Bloomfield Hills and Hazel Park United Methodist Church. And I'm here to bring us another 5-minute message. This week we are talking about the practice of discernment. 2 days ago I talked about what discernment is, and today I just want to briefly share a little bit about how we practice discernment. In one of her articles, Ruth Haley Barton, who I mentioned in our last message, tells the story of a conversation she had with a pastor who was trying to lead their church through a major transition. And they were asking questions like, does our mission still capture what we feel called to? Is the leadership structure effective for what is emerging now? And can we keep going this way, or will we burn ourselves out? Big questions, and really good questions for a church to ask too. And amidst that, we need a process, a spiritually saturated process, which means we're going beyond just like the pros and cons type of thing, which can be helpful, but discernment offers us something a little deeper than that, much deeper. It allows us to welcome God's Spirit into the process. Because as Ruth continued the discussion with this pastor and asked what their process was, well, the pastor said, and I'm guilty of this, frankly, what a lot of us would say. We always have a time of prayer at the beginning of our meetings. Well, can the Holy Spirit have more for us than just a pre-meeting prayer? Discernment says yes. And Ruth lays out a process of discernment like this. First, you have to be asking the right questions. Questions that are more transactional or technical in nature don't necessarily need discernment. What type of printer do we buy isn't a discernment question. What software are we going to use? But rather questions like, what is our purpose for our software? What is our purpose for printing materials? What are we trying to communicate through printers as a church? That is discernment. Questions of values, questions of vision and mission. Those are questions of discernment. And then, when you get the right questions, you need the right people. Not everybody should always be in the room for discernment. Certain people are called for certain times and certain gifts in certain ways. And Ruth says, when you establish values and principles for how you will do this work with the right people, so you get the questions, you get the people, then you got to establish those values. And with the right people in the room, that becomes a lot easier. And then it allows you to know what to pray for. And you start praying, as she says, without ceasing, which is a scriptural concept. In praying, in this case, praying with discernment isn't just telling God what you hope for. This type of prayer isn't even really talking, but prayer that is listening. Prayer that allows us to meditate, to receive God's will, because we have made ourselves available to the Holy Spirit to speak. We have tried to empty of ourselves to allow God to fill with whatever God may have for us. So then, as that prayer process goes along, and what was once foggy, kind of like we talked about last time in the liminal space, as that fog starts to clear, you can share with your people what you sense God is telling each other. And you want to tell each other the truth as best you can. Because as you share what is truthful, that allows for inner confirmation between people. Or maybe you have to go back to prayer again if you're coming away with conflicting conclusions, conflicting discernments. What you want is over time for the Spirit of God to be able to build inner confirmation among your group. That then allows you agreement in moving forward. So folks, I've just hit the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about discernment. This could, a 50-minute message wouldn't get through everything you needed to. But I would love to hear some of your initial thoughts. How have you experienced discernment? Or what questions do you have about it? Ask those in the comments and let's continue this conversation. And remember, if these videos have been helpful to you, please share them on your own social media accounts. This is a practice that is important no matter who you are and where you're coming from. So that's it this week on discernment. For now, go in peace, knowing you are loved.